Good evening. I'm David Atkins, and this is Eye on the Issues. The worst economy since the Great Depression. It may seem difficult to believe that phrase without seeing those 1930s images of long bread lines and unemployed caravans to California in modern-day America. And yet the statistics don't lie. Official national unemployment stands at just under 10%. Recent reports cite that California unemployment is actually at 12.9%. Even the broadest measure of national unemployment is said to be over 16%. With every month come reports of the economy losing even more jobs. With wages having failed to keep pace with inflation since the 1970s, many Americans who turn to investments to make ends meet have seen their life savings evaporate in the financial market bubbles caused by overzealous deregulation policies. Meanwhile, many unemployed have ceased looking for work at all, even as the pace of globalization and technological change transform the landscape of the American job market. These are enormous challenges. But there is hope on the horizon. The Obama administration's economic stimulus has created or saved millions of jobs, and planned financial sector reforms, in combination with green jobs programs, should help to reorient an economy too dependent on the unstable financial sector. But much work remains to be done, and it will require the united efforts of all Americans to see us through this difficult period. Here to help guide us in this discussion are our three distinguished panelists, Gabrielle David, Tom Welti, and Emily Dulcan. Our first guest, Gabrielle David, has been a vocational rehabilitation counselor for over 26 years in the arena of workers' compensation in the Ventura County and Los Angeles County areas. Gabrielle has experience in the public sector as well as the private sector, having worked with the Department of Labor Office of Worker Compensation and the State of Arizona Department of Economic Security. She's also served as a vocational expert for personal injury and divorce evaluations. Gabrielle has a certification from the Commission of Rehabilitation Counselors dating since 1986. Gabrielle, thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you.
Our second guest is Tom Welti. Tom graduated high school in 1971 in Western New York and went to the community school for fire science, during which time he began his career as a firefighter. After moving to California, Tom switched careers to aviation, working as a scheduler at an FAA repair facility in Burbank. 5 years later, Tom's career path took him to personal care as a purchaser for 2 different companies over the course of 8 years. Yet another career change led him again to sales in the glass packaging industry for pharmaceuticals. Unfortunately, Tom was let go due to downsizing 1 year ago, after which he's been unable to find steady employment in today's difficult job market. Last but not least, thank you, Tom, for being on the show. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Last but not least, our third guest, Emily Dulcan, is a writer, editor, and the California Communications Director of Organizing for America, the grassroots organization dedicated to supporting President Obama's agenda. After working with nonprofits in Washington, D.C. and Mexico, in 2006, Emily earned a master's degree in cross-cultural journalism from the Missouri School of Journalism at the University of Missouri-Columbia, and parlayed her love of words into a career in strategic communications and public relations. After 2 years at Fenton Communications, the nation's largest public interest communications firm, Emily began freelancing as a communications consultant and worked on strategy, branding, and messaging for corporate clients. In the spring of 2009, she served as the communications director for Emmanuel Pleiades, who ran for Congress in a special election in Los Angeles' 32nd Congressional District. Thank you, Emily, for being on the show.
Thank you.
All right, so Gabrielle, let me begin with you. Obviously, the employment environment is very difficult right now for all ages, genders, everything. What are you seeing as the best opportunities for employment in today's difficult market?
The best opportunities for employment are really in the medical area.
Okay.
You, of course, would need training in that or to pursue that type of vocational goal.
Right.
Accounting, bookkeeping, the science and math background is very good.
Right. Okay, so medical, things like nursing and...
licensed vocational nurse,
Okay.
Dental hygienist, a cardiac technician,
Right.
Medical sonogram.
And what sorts of training do those things require?
Those are typical 2-year programs for the medical programs.
Right. Now, Tom, you've been unemployed for a while. What are you seeing in terms of the job market right now?
I'm having a difficult time because I'm trying to change careers once again, and I can't seem to get anyone to hire me and train me at the same time.
Right. And do you think that that's a function perhaps of your age, or is it other factors, or what's going on?
I think there's certainly age involved, as well as a lot of different people who are trained for the positions.
Right. So what advice, say, Gabrielle, what advice would you have for, say, baby boomers who are looking to reestablish careers or to change careers in this job environment?
Well, I think for baby boomers, we need to really be up to speed on our technical computer skills. It's not something we grew up with. It's something that we're having sometimes to catch up with. And I think to be really strong and current in Microsoft Office 7 and be aware of Twitter and all the new developments. Mm-hmm. And for us as well, I think networking is very, very important. Where you can apply on the internet for jobs and go through an employment development and other things, but most of those, only about 2% of things on the internet you're really going to get a chance to get an interview for. So it's networking, and networking is being in a group that's with your particular expertise. But it's not just going a couple times. You really have to go and develop those relationships and be consistent, maybe volunteer for an association, and keep your eyes and ears open, and also be open to different kinds of jobs than maybe you would have initially considered, something a little different that you never thought of.
Right. Well, how you're involved with administration efforts, and some of the things that the administration is doing right now could probably help baby boomers as they attempt to transition through this difficult employment environment where people are not keeping the same jobs for 10, 20 years, but rather shifting, and then sometimes at a certain age, employers don't want to pick up people of a certain age. How would some of the administration's policies be helping with that?
Well, some of the stimulus money that came through the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act is actually going to job training. So we know, for example, that the clean energy sector is going to be a real machine for bringing our economy back up to speed. So about $75 million have gone from stimulus money to the state of California to train people in these new green jobs, things like construction and working on strategies for addressing climate change. So a lot of stimulus money is going to train people in the new sectors that will be improving the economy.
Right. So, and then Tom, in terms of the things that you have seen work for you and not work for you, what has seemed to be most, I mean, obviously nothing's been terribly successful, but what has seemed to be most promising and what seemed to not work so well for you?
Well, the most exciting part to me is the alternative energy.
Right.
Not only, I mean, it's an exciting field, and it's also helping the country as well. However, it's, once again, it's the training that's preventing me from getting into that. So,
right. So what sorts of training you'd be looking at? Are we talking about the time it would take to train? Are we talking about the amount of money that it would take to join a program, or that there aren't programs available? What are we discussing here?
When I've met with different people, different companies, I even said that I would work for free, per se, and be an intern. Right. And they would not, they don't have anyone to train me, or they don't have the time, which is the frustrating part. But I'd still like to get into the alternative energy.
Got it. Okay, so you mentioned networking, Gabrielle. In what ways should people do their best networking? What are the sorts of places that they should go, things that they should be doing in any given field?